The small town of Eldridge sat nestled between rolling hills, often shrouded in a thick fog that seemed to creep in from the surrounding woods. The townsfolk had grown accustomed to the mist, but newcomers always found it unsettling. In this quiet town there was a house that everyone avoided, the old Harrington Manor. The manor was a towering structure, its once bright white paint now peeling and faded to a ghostly gray. The windows were dark, like empty eyes watching the world with a lingering sadness. The townspeople whispered of strange happenings and ghostly figures that roamed the halls at night. Some claimed to have seen a woman in a long, flowing dress, her hair hanging in tangled strands, gliding through the fog. It was said she was searching for something, or someone. Emily Thompson was not from Eldridge. She had moved to the town for a fresh start, hoping to leave her troubled past behind. When she first arrived, she had heard the stories about Harrington Manor, but her curiosity got the better of her. She decided to explore the old house and discover the truth behind its haunting tales. The day she chose to visit the manor was gray and overcast. The fog rolled in thicker than usual, wrapping around the trees like a shroud. Emily parked her car outside the wrought iron gate, its rusted hinges creaking in the wind. She took a deep breath, trying to calm the fluttering in her stomach. With each step toward the manor, the air grew colder, and the fog thickened, swallowing her whole. As she approached the front door, Emily noticed how the wood had warped over the years, the once proud entrance now sagging under the weight of neglect. She pushed it open, and it groaned loudly, a sound that echoed through the empty halls. The interior was dark, the only light filtering through the grime-covered windows. Dust motes danced in the air, and Emily felt a chill run down her spine. The air inside the manor felt heavy, as if the very walls were holding their breath. She stepped inside, the floorboards creaking beneath her feet. Each step felt like a violation of the silence that enveloped the house. Emily pulled out her flashlight, the beam cutting through the darkness and illuminating the faded wallpaper, peeling and torn like the memories it held. As she explored, Emily felt an unshakable sense of being watched. She shook it off, attributing it to her overactive imagination. She moved from room to room, each one telling a story of a time long past. The parlor was filled with dusty furniture, and the kitchen still held the faint scent of something long forgotten. It was in the dining room that she first felt a sudden drop in temperature that made her breath visible in the air. The chill wrapped around her, and she shivered. It was then she saw a figure standing in the corner of the room. The ghostly woman wore a long, flowing dress that billowed around her, even though there was no wind. Her hair hung in wild disarray, framing a face that was both beautiful and tragic. Emily's heart raced as she realized the tales were true. The woman raised her hand slowly, pointing toward a doorway that led to the basement. Emily's breath caught in her throat. She knew she should leave, but an inexplicable pull urged her to follow. The ghost's eyes, filled with sorrow, seemed to draw her in. Emily hesitated, then took a step forward. The ghost watched her intently, her expression both pleading and mournful. As Emily approached the basement door, she could hear the faint sound of whispers, like a breeze carrying secrets. The air thickened with anticipation, and she felt as if the house was alive, breathing with her. With a trembling hand, she opened the door, and the smell of damp earth wafted up to greet her. The basement was dark, the only light coming from her flashlight. The stairs creaked ominously as she descended, each step echoing in the stillness. The whispers grew louder, swirling around her like a haunting melody. Emily felt a shiver run down her spine, but curiosity propelled her forward. At the bottom of the stairs, the basement opened into a wide room, its walls lined with old wooden beams. In the center stood an old table, covered in dust and cobwebs. As she approached, she noticed something glinting beneath the layer of dust. She brushed it away, revealing a small, ornate box. It was intricately carved, and a strange sense of familiarity washed over her. Suddenly, the temperature dropped even further, and Emily felt the ghost's presence behind her. She turned, and the woman stood there, closer now, her face twisted in anguish. Emily wanted to run, but she was frozen in place, captivated by the sorrow in the ghost's eyes. The woman raised her hand again, urging Emily to open the box. With trembling fingers, Emily lifted the lid. Inside lay a delicate locket, tarnished by time. As she picked it up, The whispers swelled into a cacophony, filling her mind with fragmented memories. Images flashed before her eyes: a happy family, a wedding, laughter that echoed through the halls of the manor. But then darkness fell over the memories, replaced by fear and despair. The ghost's expression shifted, her eyes pleading with Emily to understand. In that moment, Emily realized the truth: the woman was trapped, bound to the house by a tragedy that had unfolded long ago. The locket held the key to her freedom. "Who are you?" Emily whispered, her voice barely audible over the whispers. The ghost stepped closer, and for the first time, Emily felt a rush of emotion: sadness, love, and a desperate yearning. The woman raised her hand to her heart, then pointed to the locket. Emily understood the locket was a piece of her past, a connection to the life she had lost. Suddenly, the whispers turned frantic, swirling around Emily like a storm. The atmosphere grew heavy, and she felt a sense of urgency. The ghost reached out, her fingers brushing against Emily's arm, sending a jolt of energy through her. It was a plea for help, a desperate call to remember. Emily closed her eyes, concentrating on the feelings that flooded her mind. She saw flashes of the woman's life. Her name was Clara Harrington, the last of her family line. Clara had been happy once, loved deeply, but tragedy had struck, leaving her alone in the cold, dark house. The locket was a symbol of that love, and Emily realized it contained a picture of Clara's beloved, lost to time. The urgency escalated, the whispers growing louder, almost deafening. Emily opened her eyes, determination flooding her veins. She had to help Clara find peace. She needed to uncover the truth of what had happened to her. "Clara," Emily said, her voice steady. "I will help you, I promise." The ghost's eyes widened, a flicker of hope igniting within them. The whispers began to settle, calming into a soft hum, as if the house itself was listening. Emily felt a warmth radiating from the locket, and she knew that she had to find the answers buried within the town's history. As she ascended the stairs, the fog outside had thickened, enveloping the manor in a ghostly embrace. Emily stepped outside, the air heavy with anticipation. The townsfolk had spoken of the Harrington family, but she needed to dig deeper. She made her way to the town library, her heart racing with purpose. The library was a small building, its wooden shelves lined with dusty books. The air smelled of aged paper and forgotten stories. Emily approached the librarian, an elderly woman with kind eyes who seemed to know more than she let on. "Excuse me, do you have any information on the Harrington family?" Emily asked, her voice steady despite the fluttering in her chest. The librarian's expression shifted, a flicker of recognition sparking in her eyes. "Ah, the Harringtons. Tragic story," she said softly. "You're not the first to be drawn to that old manor." Emily felt a knot form in her stomach. What happened to Clara Harrington? The librarian sighed, leading Emily to a back room filled with old newspapers and records. Clara was a beautiful young woman, full of life. She fell in love with a man named Thomas, but their love was forbidden. Clara's family disapproved, and one fateful night, tragedy struck. They say they were to elope, but something went horribly wrong. As the librarian spoke, Emily listened intently, piecing together the fragments of Clara's life. "What happened?" Emily pressed. "They say Clara's family found out about the plan. In a fit of rage, her father confronted Thomas. There was a struggle, and Thomas was killed. Clara was devastated. The night of his death, she vanished into the fog, never to be seen again. Some say she died of a broken heart. Others believe she is still searching for him." Emily's heart ached for Clara, feeling the weight of the woman's sorrow. "Where can I find more information?" she asked. The librarian pointed to a shelf filled with old records. "There are diaries, letters, and more. You might find what you're looking for in there." With a sense of urgency, Emily began to sift through the documents. Hours passed and the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the room. Finally, she stumbled upon a diary belonging to Clara. As she opened it, the pages were filled with elegant handwriting, chronicling Clara's life, her love for Thomas, and the deep sorrow that engulfed her after his death. Emily felt tears prick at her eyes as she read. Clara had poured her heart into those pages, her longing and despair palpable. The last entry sent chills down her spine. Clara had written of her plan to escape the manor with Thomas, of the love they shared, and her fear of what would happen if they were caught. "Find me in the fog," the last line read. "I cannot bear this pain any longer." With renewed determination, Emily knew what she had to do. She had to confront the past and help Clara find peace. As she left the library, the fog had thickened further, wrapping around her like a shroud. She made her way back to Harrington Manor, her heart pounding with purpose. Once inside, the air felt electric with anticipation. The whispers had returned, swirling around her, guiding her to the basement once more. The ghostly figure of Clara appeared, her expression one of hope and gratitude. Emily held the locket tightly, feeling its warmth against her palm. "Clara, I know your story now," Emily said, her voice steady. "I will help you find peace." Clara nodded, her eyes shimmering with unshed tears. Emily felt a wave of emotion wash over her, a connection that transcended time. She moved to the center of the basement, where the air felt charged with energy. "Clara," she began, her voice clear and firm, "you are not alone. Your love is still here, waiting for you. You can find him again." As she spoke, the whispers grew louder, swirling around her like a tempest. The temperature dropped sharply, and Clara's figure flickered, the sadness in her eyes replaced with a glimmer of hope. Emily closed her eyes, focusing on the memories she had uncovered, on the love that had once filled the halls of the manor. "Let go of the pain," Emily urged, her heart racing. "You deserve to be free." The whispers crescendoed, filling the room with a haunting melody that seemed to resonate with Clara's spirit. Emily felt a rush of energy, the air crackling with magic. She opened her eyes, and Clara stood before her, more vibrant than ever, the sadness lifting from her face. In that moment, the locket glowed softly, illuminating the darkness. Emily held it out, and Clara reached for it, their fingers brushing together. As the ghost took the locket, a brilliant light enveloped her, swirling like a whirlwind of memories and emotions. The whispers transformed into a harmonious chorus, echoing through the manor. Emily watched in awe as Clara's spirit began to fade, her expression peaceful and serene. "Thank you," Clara whispered, her voice a gentle breeze. "I can finally be free." With that, Clara vanished, leaving behind an ethereal glow that illuminated the basement. The air felt lighter, as if a great weight had been lifted from the house. Emily stood alone, the whispers now silenced, the fog outside beginning to dissipate. As she made her way back upstairs, she felt a sense of closure wash over her. The manor, once filled with sorrow and despair, now felt like a place of peace. She stepped outside, the fog lifting to reveal the stars twinkling overhead. Eldridge felt different, as if the town itself had exhaled, free from the haunting presence of the past. Emily took a deep breath, her heart filled with gratitude. She had helped a lost soul find her way, and in doing so, she had found her own sense of purpose. The old Harrington Manor, once a place of fear, had transformed into a sanctuary of love and remembrance. From that day on, Eldridge would tell the story of Clara Harrington, the ghost in the fog, and the brave woman who helped her find peace. The manor, no longer haunted, stood as a testament to the enduring power of love, a reminder that even in the darkest places, light could always be found.